What's going on, supporters? It's John, and I'm back with another video update for you. As always, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out our videos to see how you guys can be praying and supporting this ministry throughout the week. It's really encouraging, and we appreciate that very much, especially during this time in lockdown where students are forced to stay home, teachers are forced to stay home, and it's just difficult, and there's just frustrations just having to persevere with things like this. Those of you who support us who live in Sydneyland, you guys can attest to this. And so just want to say thank you so much for your prayers. We really appreciate everything that you guys give us. Now, in this week's video update, I want to do something similar to what Christine had done in our last update. I was thinking it's been a bit of a while since I've shared with you each of the schools that I'm in and just what the demographic is to help direct your prayers a little bit more. And so I might do that in this week. So I'm in 3 BLAST schools, and those schools are Sefton High School, Bankstown Senior College, which is actually a bit of a co-op between a high school and a college, where the students I get might be anywhere aged from 16 all the way up to 40. And then there's Bass High School. So my normal weeks start off with me teaching at Sefton High School. That school has about 30 students in it. At the beginning of the year, we had about 30, 35, but some students have withdrawn. The class is just pretty much all across the spectrum in terms of faith, and that we have very nominal Christians who just ended up in Scripture somehow, and then we have students who are relatively mature in their faith, who are actively serving in their church each week. And so that's a blessing in that it provides opportunity for students who are just on the other side of the spectrum, who don't know much about the faith, to just have peers who are able to give good answers and just reflections on issues that they struggle with as Christians, just in a high school context. And so that's really helpful to have. Sometimes managing the classroom dynamics can be a bit difficult, just disruption. I guess you always get that with a larger class. It's not, as bad as it could be, which is a bit of a blessing. And so, one of the things that I do in this class is every single lesson, I started off by asking, are there students who have prayer requests for me, and also for other students as well, that we can be praying for each other throughout the week. And without fail, there are 2 students that put their hand up every single week. And one of them is, he's a bit more of a mature Christian in that he's, quite well versed in the Bible, which is good to see him wrestling through the issues that he's going with. And he shares pretty openly with this each week, and he's just going through family separation at the moment. His parents are having a divorce, and he's always requesting prayer just around custody issues. And so it just breaks my heart to just see, him just go through this. Outwardly he seems to express just, really good trust in God. But inwardly, I don't know what that looks like for him having to wrestle through these issues. Why would God, allow me to go through something like this? Especially in lockdown, that must be really difficult. But I do thank, God for the example that he presents to his peers. But I ask that you guys would just be lifting him up in prayer just around, this issue. Can't imagine how difficult it must be. There's also another student who has the same issue that this student has, and that's another issue. And that is, I believe they both also have family members who are going through a terminal illness. And so that's just another complexity to the situation. But I ask that you guys lift up both of these boys in prayer, as one of them is a bit more discouraged by it, and he's always sleeping in class. And I guess it's just to alleviate some of the difficulties. It's just how he copes. Please pray for both of these students, and just also the impact they have on their peers around them who are looking at them as they are sharing this sort of stuff, fairly transparently, and are also just expressing their faith in other ways in class. And so just please pray just for the students who are just more of the nominal Christians, that they can really be influenced by these students, and also for the particular situations that they are in. One of the thoughts that I get around this class is that there are a few students who are, strongly encouraged by their parents to be in service and on Sunday, just in church or in youth group. And there's just been a bit of apathy that's been expressed around those service issues. And so this one student in particular, and her best friend, who has just made some negative comments just around having to serve and having to do this and that. And her best friend is more of the nominal Christian. And I just ask that you guys pray for that relationship, and even just the people who are in earshot, just as negative comments are made, that it might not affect, their perception of Christianity, At the same time, just pray for that one student who is having a really hard time, I guess that the duty is not something that she's super passionate about, and other students have also expressed similar sentiments. So we ask that you pray for the faith of them, especially during this time, that they might be able to draw close to God, as maybe they don't have the same pressure of having to serve as they've expressed in some of their comments. And so I ask that you guys lift up those students in prayer. So let's move on to another school that I teach in, and that's Bankstown Senior College. This year we haven't had a lot of students. There have probably been about 3 that have attended Scripture this year. And so one of them is actually a mother, and she's just expressed a lot of concern just around, fear around spiritual forces and things like that. Her children always getting sick after certain issues, and so there's a bit of superstition. But look, maybe there even is a spiritual dimension just that's going on in her family as well. And so she's voiced to me that she's spoken to, people of different faiths asking for prayer and support. And I know that she's just having a hard time wrestling and reconciling, I guess, her family situation, having a lot of negative things happen to her and her family. She is, a new migrant. And so I just ask that you guys be praying for her just around, just all the difficulties of juggling, college studies, raising her children by herself, and also having, job issues and all sorts of negative things come around, things like getting parking tickets and all sorts of stuff. So I just ask that you pray for her as she struggles, with life. Can't imagine all the difficulties that she faces, but I know that it's not going to be easy, especially in this time during lockdown. There are 2 other students that come to mind as well. Another one who I've shared about in the past, who unfortunately had lost his brother in an accident, and then has another sibling who also might be having a terminal illness as well. And so we ask for your prayer just around him, as he's expressed, and other video updates I've shared, just the difficulty that he has at his turn to substance abuse, just trying to cope with the feelings. And so I ask you pray for this particular student as well, as he's come along to our class a couple of times this year. The third student that comes to mind is probably a bit more of an encouraging one. This one is just digging into his church, and I mentioned he's learning about Calvinism, and just I pray that you just would lift him up, and that he would be sharpened in his thinking and in his faith, and would just be able to think critically about things, and just be an encouragement to the students around him. And so the other 2 students that I just shared, they're a bit younger than the mother, but they're, all 3 of these students are in the college. I don't think, no, that's a lie. One of them is in the high school, but the other 2 are in the college. Anyways, I just ask for prayer around them, as they're all new migrants and all have just, similar situations. Just, life is difficult with family circumstances. And so we ask that you lift them up in prayer. The other school that I want to talk about today, I don't want to make this video too long, but is Bass High School. And at Bass, at the moment, I'm teaching only years 7 and 8, and they're both small classes. The students there, one of them is really passionate about her faith, or maybe I should say passionate about her youth group. I'm not entirely sure what her walk is like with the Lord on her own, but I just prayed that for this time that she would be drawing close to God, even though she might not have all the fun things that youth group can provide. But I asked that you guys would be lifting her up in prayer, along with another one of the students who had actually withdrawn from the class. And I think that there wasn't a lot of attendance for a couple of weeks, and she just felt discouraged and had withdrawn. And so I just asked you guys to lift up her and her faith. The other students, the ones that I've yet to teach this year, that I've taught in previous years, those classes have about 20 students each in them. And those are the year 9 and year 10 students. So there's some relationship that I have with them there. But at the same time, I'm not sure what has happened with them in the last year, as I haven't had a chance to teach them. So I ask that you guys just be lifting them up, that they might use this opportunity when, Scripture has, been off the books for a while for them. Church is shut down, but that they might be drawing close to God as well. I might shift back around to the year 8 class that I had taught. That's a really small class. We've only got 3 people who are in it. But just as I mentioned, please continue praying for those students. That they would be encouraged during this time. As far as I know, all of them are churched believers. life at this time, just during lockdown, can just pose its difficulties and opportunities for people to maybe even draw away. So we ask for you guys' prayers over that. All right, it's probably about time to wrap this video up. I'll list at the end of this video just some prayer points that are a bit more specific and targeted for you. But nonetheless, thanks for sticking through to the end. Really appreciate you guys lifting up our schools in prayer. So how about I bring this video to a close, and I'll catch you guys in the next update.